we got to the point of you meeting Dad. That's kind of where our family comes together. How did you meet Dad?
Dad came to the university. I was there.
What was he doing there?
He was getting. He had come off of his. No, he had come out of the service. He had been
What
in
year
the
was
Navy,
this?
and he had gone to BYU for 3 years, and had and wanted to get a master's degree in geology. And University of Arizona has a good geology department, so that's where he came.
So he got his bachelor's degree at BYU after the war,
after the war.
and then he came up to U of A to get his master's in geology. And what year was that? Do you think he?
I was 18 years old, so it would be 48, 50. So he came about 52 or 53.
Okay.
And he had been there before. I mean, he'd been there before. I knew. Well, no. Let's see. We'll go back. You wanted to know when I first met him, and he came, and he never lived in a dorm. He lived in apartments out in town, and that was. Somebody said there's a new person at this was at this institute. And that's where I said we did a lot of our activities. They told Donna and I, well, there's a new person from St. David. Donna and I looked at each other. We said, we know everybody in St. David almost when they were born. And we don't know of anybody.
You don't know Willis Brimhall from St. David.
I never heard of Willis Brimhall before. We went over to the Institute, which was about 2 blocks away. And we went over to the Institute and looked at him, and no, he's not from Arizona. He's not from St. David. Well, it turns out that Dad was born in St. David.
Yeah.
And he lived there only a year, and then he went. So nobody knew him. But since he was born in St. David, he thought that would be a good way to get everybody to know who he was. Well, that was a dumb thing, since there were so many people there. We had a lot of people from St. David. That was not it. So
And you didn't recognize him. So when you found out, well, there's Willis Brimhall, what did you do at that point?
Pretty well ignored him. I didn't have much to do with him. He was a little bit, what should I say, classier. He wasn't as rough and tumbling as I was.
Really?
I was more of a, you know, if the boys wanted to fight, I fought.
I got you.
Okay. And that wasn't Willis's way of doing things. So anyway, when I first really, I guess the first time I really noticed him at all was that he had asked Willadine Bryce, who turns out to be my sister-in-law later, but not then. Willadine Bryce, he had asked her to go to a institute dance, and Dad had when he was going to BYU had gone out with Elaine. Anyway.
Breathwaite?
No, Elaine.
I forget the last name too. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Anyway, he went out with her, and they got engaged.
That's right.
And then she graduated before he did, and she went down to Richfield. And then when she was down there, Dad had given her a ring, so they were engaged. And then when he found out one time when he went down there, she had been going out with this other man. And so he asked for the ring back and broke the engagement. And then he came to Arizona, to the University of Arizona, and he was dating different girls there. And he asked Willadine to go to the dance, and Willadine accepted him. And then Elaine came, and she was trying to see if they could make up. And so he asked Willadine if it would be all right if he broke the date and took Elaine out that time.
Oh.
Well, when I heard that, I thought that was the crummiest thing I'd ever heard of. And so from then on, Willis Brimhall was on my blacklist.
Yeah, I don't know how you. Wow. Okay, that's a bad start.
Yeah, very bad start. That was, he was, it was
How
really-
long did it take you to get to the point where, yeah, I'll go out with you, Willis?
Well, I don't think it, anyway, but it didn't bother Willadine at all. Willadine had another date before
Oh, yeah, okay.
before the day was over. So anyhow, but it bothered me. I think I was really the only one that it bothered as much as anything. And so it was later. It was not too much later, but it was later. They were going to have a institute party at the Mountain Home, which nowadays is a museum. But anyhow, we're going to have this, and I was studying in the library. That's where you did a lot of your studying, and I was studying in the library. And somebody came in to find me and found me and said, "Do you want to go get a milkshake?" Well, I never refused a milkshake, so I said okay. So we went out, and I honestly think there must have been about 10 people in that car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was the time when that wasn't against the law, and I went in, and I was to sit on Willis Brimhall's lap. Well, that was about the worst thing I could have had. I tried to sit up forward, didn't ever listen to him or anything, and then he asked me to go to this mountain.
So you
home.
ignored him.
I ignored him. He asked me to go to this party up at the Mountain Home that was coming up, and I ignored him. And then he asked me. I guess he asked me again. At least I couldn't ignore him. And if I didn't want to go with somebody, if I didn't want to, I would just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but my folks are expecting me home."
Uh-huh.
Why I didn't say it that time, I don't know. I guess Heavenly Father knew that I'd better stay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I didn't say it. And so I had told him, okay. I wasn't a bit thrilled, but my roommates were thrilled to death because here he was inviting a dorm girl to a party, and he didn't invite a city girl. There was a sort of a little bit of a friction between those that lived in the dorms and those that lived at home.
And so Dad was a high roller.
Oh yeah!
Oh,
all
my
the mothers
goodness.
all the mothers of the home girls were very, very much thinking that he would be a good catch.
I didn't know that.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
So your first date at Mountain Home, that went okay?
Oh, the first date at Mountain Home was that I pretty well ignored him again. He doesn't like to play volleyball, and I played volleyball, and I did everything that I didn't bother to be particularly to him. We ate. I ate everybody else. I always did. I said I had a good appetite, and when we ate, I ate everybody. I could eat, at that time I could eat anything and never gain a pint.
Yeah.
Now I can't eat spaghetti and I gain a pound. Okay, so.
The beauty of youth.
I remember that it was in the springtime because we were riding in the back of the truck. Again, that's not something that we do nowadays. You do not ride in the back of a truck, but we rode in the back of a truck at this time. And I know what the girls had asked my roommates to make everything worse. They said, "Why don't you ask him to go to the girls' formal?" And so so that the town girls can't ask him. And so
Coach him.
yeah. So that's what I did. I was egged on by them, so I did. I asked him to. He's accepted. Well, these are the sort of things that you can say afterwards, but then my roommates after that said, "Well, why don't you get him to kiss you on that first on that next date?"
Uh-huh.
Well, I batted my eyes until I about batted it out. Anyway, I did get him to kiss me.
Second
And
date.
then it was sort of nice. He was sort of growing on me a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. And so then he took me out.
You got over Aunt Willadine, and you
Yeah.
got over, and so
Yeah, I
decided
was
that
getting
he
a
was
little
okay
bit
to
more.
date.
And he took me to baseball games, and we did a
How
lot
fun.
of talking in nighttime. It was almost the end of school,
Yeah.
and so and that was one time I know that I was working at that summer I worked at the Fort Huachuca. I know I worked that summer, but I don't remember. Anyway, so that's how I first met Dad.